Today we're making stewed beef and gravy with homemade egg noodles on Cooking with Tovia. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and ring the notification bell, select all notifications. So I am heating up about 3 tablespoons of olive oil on high heat. And I'm going to add in my chuck roast. So this is a 2.5 pound chuck roast that I just cut up into like 1.5 2-inch cubes. You just want to try to keep the pieces of the meat cut into even pieces. So I'm going to just season with salt and pepper. I'm not going to add all this beef into the pan because I don't want to overcrowd my pan. But I just want to sear it on all sides. So just season with salt and pepper, closely ground black pepper to taste. There's no specific measurements, just to taste, because we're going to season it later. So once it has a nice color, give it a flip. And after you flip it, of course, let it sear, get nice and brown on the opposite side. So after it's seared, remove it from the pot, set it aside, and just sear off your remaining meat the same way. Don't forget to season it. So I got all my meat seared. I'm just removing the remaining from my Dutch oven here. And I have sliced up 1 big onion. It's a yellow onion, but you can use whatever type of onion you desire. Now if you need to add some more oil to your pot, by all means add it, as needed. So I'm just going to cook the onions for about 2 minutes. I just want them to cook a little bit and start to turn translucent. So I've been keeping my heat fluctuating between high and medium high. So I'm working on about medium high right now. So as my onion is starting to turn translucent, I'm going to add some garlic. I'm going to add like about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic. Maybe a little bit more than that. I love garlic. Give it a stir. So I'm going to add my seared beef to the pan. I'm going to shake over. About 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Give everything a stir here. About 1.5 tablespoons of dried oregano. I love the flavor of dried oregano. It's really good. But 1/2 teaspoon of corriander. You're not going to need much because coriander is very, very pungent. About 2 teaspoons of dried thyme. About 1.5 bouillon cubes worth of bouillon. I'm going to use chicken bouillon, but you can use, beef if you desire, or you can use just stock. So I'm just going to give everything a stir, and then I'm going to pour over some water. So far this is 4 cups of water that I've added to this. And I'm going to give everything a stir, and I'm going to allow this to come to a boil. Okay, it's starting to come to a boil, but I'm going to skim the top of it. Notice like brown stuff here that comes off the meat. I'm just going to skim it. So now that this has come to a boil, I'm going to just cover this. I'm going to leave this on medium high. And I'm going to let this go for about 1 hour and 20 minutes to 1.5 hours, something like that. Okay, so my roast went for about 1 hour and 10 minutes. And I didn't add any water to it. I think this is good because we're going to make a nice gravy and we're going to be adding lots of water to this. So I am going to just dump this into a bowl that I have here set on the side. Now we're going to begin by heating our Dutch oven. I'm going to put in a couple tablespoons of butter and about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to turn the heat down. I'm adding the olive oil to the butter because the olive oil will raise the smoking point of the butter to keep it from getting burnt. 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. Now, if all you have on hand is self-rising, you can use self-rising as well. So I'm going to give everything a stir. I'm working on medium-high heat here. And we are going to brown the flour. We're making a roux here. So we're going to make a dark roux. So I'm just making a dark roux on medium-high heat. Takes about 5 to 6 minutes. Now we're going to slowly whisk in 3 cups of water. And after whisking in the 3 cups of water, we're going to return the roast beef with all of the stock that was remaining back into the pot. Now we're going to cover with the lid and let this go for 15 minutes on medium heat. So this has been going for 15 minutes, and I did taste it for salt. And the salt in it was perfect, so I didn't have to add any more salt. So now we're going to remove this from the heat and make our pasta. So for the pasta recipe, I am using the Todd English pasta machine that my best friend Simply Sara got me. So I'm following the recipe that's included on the lid of the machine. If you want to know how to make handmade pasta, I'll post a link in the description box to show you how to make it by hand. I've already have that video up. So for the recipe, I'm going to put in 2 cups of flour, and then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. You can use kosher salt or regular fine sea salt. And then I'm going to shake in a tablespoon of dried parsley. I'm just going to rub my hands together to crumble it up, and then I'm going to put that into there. So we are going to be making the 2-cup recipe on this machine. So we're going to need a couple of eggs. So I have a couple of farm fresh eggs that I got from my friend Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. I love when you give me eggs. Her eggs are so wonderful to cook and bake with. So I'm going to add a couple of eggs, and then I'm going to add some water to it to top it off to the correct measurement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the machine on, and then I'm going to press the 2-cup button because we use 2 cups of flour. So I'm just going to let it go for just a second because I want to mix all that salt and parsley in. So this machine has little holes at the top. You just pour your mixture in. So the recipe calls for 3.88 ounces of water, or ounces of liquid. So I added a couple of eggs and just added some water to top it off. So this machine is going to do everything. It's going to mix the dough, and it's going to extrude it when it's time. So it's going to actually start extruding the pasta. It's going to come out at the bottom here. And this happens pretty quickly. Here it goes. It's starting to come out. And I'm going to begin to cut it at my desired length. I want to do kind of like average size egg noodles. So I think this is pretty long enough. So I'm just going to cut using a sharp knife. And that's it. So I'm going to keep cutting when it's at the right length that I need it to be. So once I finish cutting all this, we'll be back. And I'm just going to add my fresh pasta to this. Your hands are your best friend because you need to make sure that none of the pasta noodles are sticking together, which isn't a huge deal because, you know, we didn't have to work so hard to make this pasta. And once I get all the pasta in, I'm going to cook it for about a minute or two. It's not really going to take that long. So the pasta's done. It didn't really take a full 2 minutes. This is fresh pasta. It cooks quickly. So I'm going to just use a slotted spoon to drain it and put it in a separate dish. And then we're going to plate everything. So here's everything. It looks and smells amazing. I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste. And I love homemade noodles. Thank you, Sara. I really appreciate you giving me that device. It was a complete surprise. So here goes. That is the most fantastic flavor. Oh my goodness. The gravy is delicious, full of flavor. The homemade egg noodles are out of this world. And I just love the tenderness of the chuck roast that we cut up and used. Absolutely delicious. All the flavors from the onions and garlic. It's just truly out of this world. Please give this recipe a try, add it to your playlist, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to live and be well. Let's come together and love each other.